going to be focusing on the Flesh and Blood hero, Sir Boltyn, Breaker of Dawn. Boltyn has been in Flesh and Blood for a very, very long time, coming out with the set Monarch. The reason Boltyn is still in the game and has not rotated is because he does have a decent hero ability. However, the downside is everything Boltyn does usually requires you to give up a card. Flesh and Blood is a 4-card hand game, so playing with 3 cards, because that pseudo 4th card is always going to be your charge card, makes it really hard to play the game. With that being said as well, there has been a bunch of new stuff that has come out in the spoiler season for the soon coming set Compendium of Wrath. A lot of these cards are kind of like, we'll see what they do, but there is one in particular that has really made me excited to play the hero again and is the main reason that I'm making this video, which was Ellie Bird's spoiler, which we'll get into here in a second. First things first, this is the current equipment that I think is the best. Addressing some elephants in the room, you're going to notice that there's not Fenelon Spring Tunic, as you normally see in a Flesh and Blood list, and there is not Ironsong Versus, which usually you see in Boltyn decks because of its Courage generation. Now, the reason those things specifically do not exist is kind of one because of the other. I have removed Tunic from my deck because most of the cards that I think are highly, highly playable right now are 0 cost. And then I remove Ironsong Versus because with it being 0 cost and not running Tunic, you kind of lose that extra resource that you would be throwing into Tunic anyways. Or sorry, that you would be taking from Tunic and throwing into Ironsong Versus anyways. Because of that, I think the best 2 arm slots right now are Bracers of Bellona's Grace, because it lets you charge on their turn, which is going to be very important when we get to Ellie's spoiler. And then Soulforge Gauntlet, because it is essentially Null Rune Gloves, but also does something. And if you're playing Flesh and Blood and you ever have the ability to have Null Rune that also does something, you're always going to take it. For headpieces, I think Helm of Halo's Grace is, bar none, just the best in-head slot that exists. There's a time when I would have said Warband, but because we can kind of essentially get the value of a Warband for free with Helm of Halo's Grace, I'm saying free because we're drawing the card we're charging, and we're not doing a combo turn where we necessarily have to always have an instant charge before we play out a Lumina. It's just, this is more consistent, and I just don't think Warband is worth the spot anymore. The other thing we're running in our head spot is Kabatu of Imperial Authority. I would love to cut this card. I would love to never see this card in my deck list ever. Unfortunately, because of things like Dawnblade Dory and just other warriors that exist and like very heavy dagger built heroes that exist, not having this kind of just loses the mirror, right? Like if I'm against another warrior, that warrior has this, I don't have it, 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to lose. Like power levels aside, skill levels aside, being able to just turn off a warrior's turn is just so strong. You just kind of have to have it. With us getting rid of Tunic, there's a couple things that I considered. I considered Vestige of Soul. I considered keeping Tunic in. I considered Solar Plexus, which is the chess piece that came out with the Boltyn Armory deck. None of them really offered enough to the deck that I was like, I need to have that in the slot right here, right now. And out of those 3, honestly, it's probably Tunic if I'm picking one. However, Soulbond Resolve, which prior to Ellie's spoiler, I would have said is a terrible card, never run this unless it's like a ranger heavy meta, I think is insane now. I think any card that lets you charge multiple times, especially with it being a block 3 because of temper, is just really, really good. And then for Lake slot, I have Warpath of Winged Grace. You could also alternatively maybe say that Snapdragon Scalers is better. I have this in here specifically because I think I care more about charging than I do about Go Again. I think we're going to have enough Courage generation and we're going to have enough things with natural Go Again. Snapdragon Scalers is going to very quickly just not be necessary. And then obviously we are running Raiden Duskbane because we are playing a true form Boltyn deck and not like an OTK combo. Getting into what I think is the core of a Boltyn deck, we have Beaming Bravado, Bolt of Courage, Engulfing Light, Express Lightning, and Light the Way as our reds. These cards are necessary to Boltyn because you need to have X amount of charge cards for your hero ability to function. Beaming Bravado, I think, is one of the best chargers that exists. It naturally turning on Boltyns if you're higher than your base, give it Go Again ability as well as being able to be a charger, it's just good. It's really good. It is a 0 for 4 that gives itself go again off the hero ability. It's just really good. Bolt of Courage is Snatch, notoriously a really, really good card. It's light themed. It's 1 less damage, but you do get to charge off of it. So it's in a way better than Snatch, in another way not better than Snatch. But because we need so many charge cards, it goes in the deck. Same thing with Engulfing Light. Engulfing Light is great because it's a double charge. It's the card you charge to play it, and then if it hits, it also charges itself. So it can be a 2-card 2 to soul, which is very, very nice. And then Express Lightning and Light the Way are in there because we need charge cards, and they're the best ones that are left out of our available pool. We then have Banneret of Courage, Banneret of Gallantry. There are other bannerets that exist. I think these are the best too, because courage is one of the most important things in Boltyn. And having a quicken token just lets you save soul for things later on. There's not many situations where we ever want to play these out, so even though I'm saying that my deck is 0 cost, I'm considering these 0 cost as well, because there is almost no situation where I'm sending a Banneret of Courage. I'm almost always charging it or I'm blocking with it. Speaking of Ellie spoilers, this isn't the new one, but one of the old ones from her, Battlefield Beacon. This card is really, really good as a chain ender. Being able to do something like Celestial Cataclysm and then just make 3 tokens for no reason, while also sending 3 damage, which may not seem like a lot, but 3 damage for Boltyn, unfortunately, is kind of the average. The card's just amazing. Beacon of Victory is a tutor in the deck. It lets you go find pretty much anything. It's really nice as well because you can run one-ofs for metas, and this is like 3 more copies of that Silver Bullet one-of. For example, I run Amulet of Echoes currently for Ocilio. This says go find an Amulet of Echoes. So I have 4 things in my deck that I can get Amulet of Echoes either itself or one of these 3 copies of Beacon and get it out very, very early. Once again, we're seeing Beaming Bravado, just one of the best things in class. If you're putting something as a charge in that color, I think Beaming Bravado and Engulfing Light are like the 2 primo ones to put there. I'm going to skip this card for now. We're going to come back to it. Celestial Cataclysm. It lets you do something with your soul. We are very, very good on soul nowadays. We're kind of past the point of having to run V for Valentry or whatever that card is called anymore, because we just get so many things to charge. We have defense reactions that charge now. We have armor that charges now. We have new chargers. Like, there's just so many things that Boltyn has that puts cards to soul. It's less of a premium, and being able to, late in the game, block with 3 cards, send 7, it's just really good. Notably, I'm only running 2 copies of it. You can put a 3 copy in there. The reason I say those 2 are necessary is because there used to be a time when we could use Celestial Cataclysm and Bolting Blade as poppers and kind of shut down Prism. Prism has enough cards though now that she can just put cards into her soul and bypass attacking entirely and not even use the combat chain. We can't really out-pop her anymore. You kind of have to out-aggro her. So it's less of a premium. Once again, Engulfing Light, great charger. A 1 of Express Lightning. This is just for charge count. There's also a lot of 1-ofs sometimes with like Spirit of Eternia and stuff like that. Having that to balance it out is nice. Lumina Ascension, Boltyn's bread and butter. This is a card I think is what makes Boltyn very, very worth playing, but also is the reason Boltyn is very, very bad. I think the developers are too afraid of making Lumina Ascension busted that they're refusing to give Boltyn any amount of Saber support that isn't just generic, like, Warrior Saber support. I honestly wouldn't even mind if there was a day in the future where they said, we're banning Lumina Ascension so we can give Boltyn a better injection of cards. I wouldn't be mad about that. I think the card's cool. I'd rather Boltyn be higher than B tier. And if that's what has to happen, let's get rid of it. But, you know, that aside, as of right now, it's a card that just goes in the deck. It is one of the reasons you play Boltyn. Then we have a new card that came out, or will come out in Company of Wraith, called Roaring Beam. This is a 0 cost, 3 block, create a courage token. There are no cards in your soul. Return this to your owner's hand, then charge your soul. So you can play this, create a courage token, charge a banneret from your hand, and then make a quicken off of that, and really set yourself up really, really strongly for the next turn to just have an explosive start. Card's great. I think this and Courageous Steel Hands are ones that maybe come in and out for each other depending on the matchup, but it is a really, really good card. And then finally, Spirit of Arinia. This allows us to play our Lumina Ascensions at instant speed. This card is necessary for certain matchups. For example, Brute, anything that intimidates, can really, really shut down a Lumina turn if they just say, discard the Lumina in your hand. Spirit of Arinia says, in response to them blocking with that card, just play out the Lumina. You don't have to worry about it. Get got. It's really good. It's also a card that you can tutor off of Beacon of Victory, so you can get out of your deck very, very early so that you're not having a no block later in the game when that block value really matters. And then it also is a yellow, so it triggers a lot of the yellow things. And then it also lets you charge and play it, so you don't have to waste your turn playing out a Spirit of Arinia. You can like block with an equipment, get it on the field turn 1, turn 0 even if you really need to. These are the cards that I think right now Boltyn has to play to function, and leaves us with one to go over, which is Ellie's new card, Blessing of Bellona. When this card is put into your soul, create a courage token. Or sorry, whenever a card is put into your soul, create a courage token. At the start of your turn, put this into your soul. This card's really, really, really good. It is yellow. It is a block 3. It costs nothing to play. And it has go again. So you can play this card, do your turn, get value off of it that turn, go to your opponent's turn, block with your equipment like Soulbound Resolve, charge, get value off of their turn, come back to your turn, and you just are littered with courage tokens. And it also goes to your soul, so it feeds your soul later on once it's done doing the cool things that it does. This card's amazing. This is a really, really good Boltyn card. It's probably one of the better cards I've seen the designers put out for Boltyn since Monarch, and it's insane. I cannot stress to you how much this improves Boltyn as a deck. Now, we're going to go through the cards that have historically been good in Boltyn, and then we're going to go through cards that I don't typically see in Boltyn lists, but have the potential, especially in yellow line builds, to be very, very good. So, first up, we have Battlefield Blitz. This card is kind of replaced by the new... Where is it? The new Duty Bound Blitz, which came out. Battlefield Blitz, 1 cost. If you've charged, go again, attacks for 5. Duty Bound Blitz is if you put yellow card into your soul this turn, attacks for 5, 0 cost. It can trigger off of Blessing of Bellona going to the... So if you have Blessing of Bellona on the field, Blessing of Bellona goes in your soul at the beginning of your turn, you can then just play out Duty Bound Blitz. So in a lot of situations, because it costs less and it's easier to satisfy the conditions, it is just better than Battlefield Blitz, in my opinion. There is the trade-off of it blocks for 1 less, but I also think Boltyn is very quickly going to become an aggro deck, unless you're doing some weird Decimator Great Axe fatigue build. You just kind of want to do that. We then have Courageous Steel Hand. If you charge this turn, give it +3, really great attack reaction, good way to close out games, good way to force through an on-hit, like, well, I can't even think. What is it called? Bolt of Courage. It also makes something bigger than its base, so you can create a Steel Hand, then do Boltyn's hero ability, give it go again. Card's really good. Illuminate is 0 for 4, which for a very, very long time is the high end of Boltyn's damage, and it goes to soul if it hits, threatens an on-hit, good breakpoint. Card has seen a lot of play. Sink Below. This card has been in so many decks since this game started. It's just a really good defense reaction. We don't really care about Opt as Boltyn, especially if we're not running Warband. So I think just sinking and drawing something's gonna be better than like Favor Scene. Slap Happy gives you a Vigor token, damage prevention, works on Arcane, works on Physical, works on whatever. It's great. Snatch, another one of the things that it is a 4 attack, so it's a good break point, makes your opponent use at least 2 cards or a piece of equipment to block it, has a relevant on hit. if you have a courage token, you play out a snatch, you can give it go again, draw off the go again, play out another card, great chain extender. Soulbond Belief is a new card. I'm not sure how I feel about Soulbond Belief yet. On one hand, it has the cool Beaming Bravado thing of giving itself +1, which initially made me look at it and go, oh great, I get to run 6 more copies of Beaming Bravado. However, because it says reveal and put into soul, it doesn't say charge to soul. The only card this really synergizes with is Duty Bound Blitz and Blessing of Bellona. It doesn't trigger any of your other cards that are if you've charged this turn. It doesn't trigger, yeah, that's it. It doesn't trigger any of your cards that say charge this turn. So because of that, I'm going to play with it, but I could see it very, very quickly coming out of the list. Spirit of War, really, really good if you can have a courage to start it and generate with it. This is really good for going super, super wide. So you can have a courage to start, play Spirit of War, hit with Spirit of War. Next thing has the courage from Spirit of War. Go again, that thing hits, gets the courage from that. Go again, that thing hits, gets the courage from that. You can just make sure everything has a +1 always to just really elongate a chain. However, this requires you not blocking, having a courage token, having a yellow card to charge, and then having other cards to like make that payoff. So this card is really, really good if you have Bolt of Courage in your hand. This card is really, really bad if you have Spirit of War and Illuminate, right? Like, you're not really getting anything out of it. And in order for it to pay for itself, you kind of need to hit at least 2 or 3 times to get like enough damage generation or courage generation for it to be worth it. It is a charger though, so I could see it taking the spot of like Light the Way or something maybe in some lists, especially if you're more yellow heavy. Which a lot of these new cards saying if a yellow has gone in, maybe Spirit of War starts to come back. We then have Take Flight. Everything about this card sucks. It costs more than Boltyn chargers usually do. It doesn't get anything other than Go Again, which in most cases you could just have a buff and give it Go Again off the buff. However, you had to have so many chargers in Boltyn. There was a time when we didn't have Armory Deck Boltyn, so we didn't have all that stuff to charge our cards into Soul with. You needed it. It was a charger, it had Go Again, it could start a chain, you just had to have it. I am hoping we are at a point in Boltyn where I never need to touch this card again. However, if the new commons are not carrying their weight, I think unfortunately Take Flight has to come back in, especially if we're playing and we're like, man, I really feel like I'm low on chargers. I'm not getting anything out of this. I need it in there. I unfortunately could see us playing with it. I hope we don't have to. Then we have Taken on the Chin. Very, very similar to Slap Happy. The difference is instead of getting that Vigor, you get that Agility token. I think in current Boltyn, I probably bring Taken on the Chin in before I bring in Slap Happy, just because I think we care a lot less about the Vigor tokens. And then we have Valiant Thrust. This card is either a 1/4 or it's a 1/7 that you can give Go Again to. Card's either amazing or card is terrible, and it just depends on where you're at in the game. If you're playing a super charge heavy list, if you're not really running any generics, you're not running any warrior cards, you're just playing light warrior, you're just doing good old Boltyn, Valiant Thrust can be very, very good as a chain ender or a chain extender. And then we have Yellow Bolt of Courage. It's another copy of Snatch, especially if you're playing with like Spirit of War, it's good to have in there. Bolting Blade, you don't usually play this to play it out. This was one of those cards that we had in as a popper against Prism because it was a 7 instead of a 6. So if they did their Triumph shenanigans, it still was a popper. Once again, I don't think we out-pop Prism anymore. I think we have to be aggro. I don't really see us playing this card unless it's like, I just need a yellow in this deck. Celestial Cataclysm, good card. I don't think you need the third, but I don't think you're necessarily wrong if you bring the third in. That's going to just be how you feel with your soul. If it feels too greedy, like I think it does, take it out. If you're playing a bunch of games and you're like, wow, I have nothing to do with all this extra soul, throw it in. Duty Bound Blitz Yellow. I think this card is good if you're playing a yellow list. Once again, the issue with these new pen cards, especially the commons, is they don't say charge anywhere on them, so they have to take the space of a non-charger card. We'll see. We're going to play with it. I think out of the two of them, Duty Bound Blitz is better than Soulbound Belief, but we'll see. That's something we need to play around with. Express Lightning, another one of those cards. If you just need more chargers, throw it in. Saving Grace. This is a really, really good defense reaction because it has the potential to block 5. I think it's also really, really good with the new card, and I think this is probably going to be my go-to choice over Syncflow for defensive reactions, just for the fact that it also then charges the soul, then triggers, I get the courage off the new card. Awesome possum, everything's great. Really good card, much needed buff from the Armory deck. Soul Shield. This is a card that a lot of people think is too expensive in Boltyn. However, if we're playing a lot of yellows, this card is essentially blocking with 2 cards, value-wise, and charging your soul, which triggers Ellie's new spoiler. It also gets around things like Dominate, which we might see a lot of if Marlin has a lot of new harpoons and takes advantage of that. If Brute has a rise, if Guardian has a rise, I think this is a card that will find its way back into Boltyn lists. Then we're going to have probably a really controversial card that some people are going to think I'm insane for not including in my deck. Via the Vanguard. This card has been a staple of Boltyn since Boltyn has come out and you've been able to play this card. It is a way to just supercharge chains and guarantees you that you are always going to have that buff. It's very similar to Spirit of War, but rather than having to hit to create that courage token, you just always get that static buff. It's more consistent, which in that makes it better. It's a yellow, it's a block 3. On paper, it's like everything Boltyn wants to do. I think that 1 cost makes it not worth it, especially because you only get +1 for each card you charge, and it has to be a light card, which you're probably not going to brick anymore because we have enough light cards. We're not running Ravenous Ravels and stuff anymore like we used to. It's probably still good, and I think if you're on Tunic, you run it. I think if you're not on Tunic, you don't run it. I personally don't like this card. I usually find myself blocking with it more than playing it out. I'm sure that Ellie Bird or Emmeline are going to tell me that I'm insane and that this card belongs in this list and that I'm stupid for not playing it. I still stand by that. I think it's a bad card. Then we have Warcry of Bellona, another card that I think just isn't worth playing right now. +2 to Raiden, which is less value than Courageous Steel Hand or Resounding Courage. It does have the instant banish, target weapon deals extra less damage this turn, yada yada yada. Issue with this card. If you play this card and your opponent is on any amount of warrior or ninja that cares about dagger or can manipulate how much they're attacking you at all, they can easily negate this. So if they swing for 4, I banish 4 from soul, and then they play a +3 reaction, or they glint and draw into something, or X, Y, and Z things that can go wrong. X or less damage. If they deal more, this card does nothing. So it's just too situational to be good. I think in most cases, I find myself just blocking with this card as a 3-block, and we have enough yellow 3-blocks at this point that you have to really carry your weight for me to put you in the deck. However, if you go a yellow line list, maybe it makes its way back in. Amulet of Echoes. This card is exactly for people like Basilio. This card is great. You don't ever need to run more than 1 of them because you can go find it off of Beacon of Victory. Card's really, really good when the meta needs it. Card's really, really bad when the meta doesn't need it. I think it'll always have a place in the sideboard if there is any amount of wizard that matters in the game. Engulfing Light. Engulfing Light is one of the few blues that I would put in the deck, just because it is something that is a really, really awkward block point. It either makes them waste an equipment, or it makes them waste a whole card, or you just get free soul out of it. And in a lot of cases, people will either overthink the block, or they will go, I'm not going to block this, take your soul, I don't care. Or they'll block it with 1 card, and then you can like Courageous Steel Hand it. There's just so many cool things that this card can do. And it is a block 3, and it is a charger. It's one of the first blues I would put in if Frostbite's made a comeback in this game. Another card historically that has seen play in Boltyn is Goblet of Blood and Wine. Creates an agility token, makes a vigor token. If you're on a bunch of cards like Via the Vanguard, and you have a lot of one-cross cards, and like there's a lot of Frostbite, maybe Jarl is really, really popular, or Icelander comes back, which would be awesome. You put this in as a way to either just do something on your turn, or to just pay for those Frostbites. Then we have Balance of Justice. Balance of Justice is another one of those cards that's amazing in certain metas, absolutely useless in some metas. Just depends, do you have an opponent who's going to draw a lot of cards? If Valde gets really, really good, this card's probably really, really good. If no one's drawing cards for any reason because they don't really care off of maybe like the random snatch, card blocks too, and there's just better things we have that block too. Tunic. Tunic goes in if you're running a bunch of one costs. Ironsong Versus. Ironsong Versus goes in if it's a super, super ranger heavy meta, or if you're running Tunic. And then Radiant Flow has seen play because it is a way to use your soul and not have to use any cards from hand to stop damage. This was more of a counter to Kano combos than anything else. Since Kano's not around, we don't necessarily need to use it that much. It's also the same as Halo. Did I not add a Halo? I think I didn't add a Halo. Let's add that real quick. Halo of Illumination. Similar to what we just saw, it's a Spell Void card. It also lets you put things into Soul. And then another card I noticed we skipped over, which I'll put into the maybe category. Alrighty, going back to that. And then finally, Warband of Bellona. Warband of Bellona is one of the best Boltyn cards until we had the Armory deck. It was a block 3 that let you charge on demand in combo Boltyn. You have to run it. It's the only way to really consistently do anything and make sure you always have the ability to start your chain. I think in normal Boltyn, though, we just have better things to do. It's too resource heavy. That temper doesn't really matter because I think I'd rather just charge my soul, and I'm also running Soul Bond right now, so I kind of have enough in block value. And if I'm putting in a piece of equipment, it's probably not Warband first, it's probably Ironsong Versus first, which again is another temper equipment, so I just don't think it has a place. These are cards that I would not run right now, but I could see them being very, very good, or are just cards to be aware that exists. First, we have the rare that's coming out in Pen, Soul Ray Plating. If you would be dealt damage, you may banish a card from your soul to prevent more of that damage. If you do, destroy the beginning of your end phase. This is cool because you can do this multiple times. If you would be dealt damage is not a once of, it's just saying that this exists till end of your turn. It's very similar to Sanctuary of Aria if you did the Rosetta pre-releases. So if I have a lot of cards in Soul, I can just banish cards from Soul, block a bunch with this. Potentially this card is a block 12, right? Like the top end of this is as much Soul as you have. On the flip of that, there's better things to do with our Soul. And I think I'd rather just do those things than have a maybe once a game this does something. Especially because it has Blade Break 1, and if I'm running a Blade Break 1, I'm just running Tunic. Maybe this changes if we get a lot more wizards in the game. Maybe this changes if Rune Blade becomes insane. Maybe. I don't see a place for it right now, but it is definitely a card that if you see it, grab it. Same with Vestige of Soul. Vestige of Soul is only good if you are playing a super, super heavy yellow line Boltyn list and you need that +1. I just don't play with a deck currently that costs a lot, so this doesn't do anything for me. And it only blocks 1. Charge of the Light Brigade. The next attack you charge this turn gets +3. There was an errata to this card, which was like, next attack you charge to play this turn. Didn't change anything about how the card functions, it just made it a little bit easier to understand for newer players. This card and Courageous Steel Hand could maybe change in and out for each other. This blocks one more than Courageous Steel Hand, as it only blocks for 2. The difference is, though, is this +3 is telegraphed. Your opponent sees it coming. And I think attack reactions buffs are just better than played out buffs in Flesh and Blood, because you have that, like, will they, won't they. It's the same reason that, like, Guardian Pummel's so popular, because if they're floating too, you kind of have to play as if you think they have a pummel, or just leave yourself open to getting punished. Enlightened Strike. This card's great. The +2 lets you Boltyn ability, give it go again. So in most cases, you're never using the this gets go again ability. You're doing the +2, or you're doing this when this attacks, draw a card. Because if you have a Courage, you can send an Enlightened Strike for 6, draw a card, do something else with it, Chain Extender, worst card in your hand becomes a buff. The card's great. Many people will use this card. It probably should be up in the inventory. I think that's an oversight on my part. I don't play with it currently, though, because I want to have light cards in my deck. And I want to have yellow cards in my deck. And the ability that Enlightened Strike offers, I think, is offset by that fact, that it's not light and that it's not yellow. We then have Jack Be Nimble, Nimbleism, Nimby, and Nimby Yellow and Nimbleism Yellow. These are all part of a Nimby package, which was very popular in Boltyn when Nimby first came out. I don't think there's anything wrong with playing the Nimby package. I think doing E-Strike and Nimby and building a deck around that is definitely a thing you can do. It might even be a good thing you can do. That just doesn't feel like Boltyn to me. And it's one of those things that, like, if you want to play that way, I think Ira would do it better. Or I think there's other heroes that would do that game plan better. And if you're not playing Boltyn to get the benefit of Boltyn's abilities, play a different hero, right? Like, if you are wanting to play a very warrior card heavy Boltyn, don't play Boltyn, go play Kasai or Dory. If you want to play a very generic heavy version of Boltyn, go play literally any other hero, because it's probably going to be better. We have Resounding Courage. It's another one of those things that is just a cool attack reaction. I'm not playing it because it costs 1. It does have the benefit over Courageous Steel Hand that you aren't required to have charged to play it out, and you do get something cool if you have charged. I don't think it's necessarily wrong to run this, especially if you're running Tunic. Banneret of Protection, Banneret of Vigor. These are the only 2 of the other Bannerets that exist that I would maybe run. Banner of Protection I'm only running if, like, Wizard is just rampant. Wizard is everywhere, and I have to worry about, or even Runeblade, and I need to negate damage, and it's the only way I can stay in the game, and it's just, it needs to go in. Banner of Vigor, similar. If you really, really, really need Vigor, Banner of Vigor goes in. Maybe that goes in a Tunic list. Battlefield Blitz Yellow. We already talked about why I'm not huge on Battlefield Blitz anymore, especially with the new card. I don't think the yellow's worth running because it's not great damage. A lot of things you have to do to play around it, or to even play it, sorry. It costs 1. And if it's a card that we're looking at it and we're going, oh, well, it's yellow, I'm going to charge it, why would I not run a Banneret that's yellow and I'm going to charge it, right? Like, a Banneret of Protection does the same thing as Battlefield Blitz. It just doesn't get go again. But if I'm playing out this card as a 1-of, the go again doesn't matter. We then have Blessing, Blessing of Themius, which came out, or will come out in Pen. When this enters your arena, name a card. Turn all cards with that name and banish zones face down. Whenever a card with that name is banished while this is in arena, turn that card face down. At the start of your turn, put this into your soul. The only world where Blessing of Themius goes into a Boltyn deck is a world in which Vincent is absolutely unstoppable and it is our only answer, and we're having to run like this and Lay to Rest and a bunch of weird cards from Monarch to stop her. That requires Vincent being good. And while she is getting some new toys, I have a lot of friends that play Vincent. I played Vincent before. She kind of has the same problem that Boltyn has, where she's a very, very fun deck, but she has a lot of issues and hoops that make it hard for her to be consistent at a competitive level. We then have Light of Soul. Light of Soul is a card that we're only going to play if we are super, super yellow heavy. We may not even play it then because it doesn't block. On the plus side, unlike other heroes, we can charge it to Soul. So if we can't block with it, we can always put it into an equipment that charges and block with it that way. I think it's unnecessary, but I could see it being useful in certain builds. We then have Lumina Lance. Lumina Lance is a card that I would tell you is really, really bad, unless it is insanely cracked. This card sucks unless you can follow it up with, like, I don't know, let's say, what's the new Boltyn card that came out 2 sets ago? Battlefield Beacon. If you can Lumina Lance, hit all 3 Lumina Lances, and then that turns on all 3 modes of Battlefield Beacon, the card is really, really good. If you are hurting for soul, or you would rather spend it on like a Celestial Cataclysm or something like that, card is really, really bad. There's also situations where you just can't play the card at all because you don't have soul to meet those conditions. We were talking about Nimbalism and Nimby. Prayer of Bellona. Next deck this turn gets +2. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's yellow, put it in your hand, then charge your hero's soul. Has go again. This is a good chain starter. The benefits Prayer Bellona has over something like Charge of the Light Brigade is it does charge, so it is a way better chain starter. It also costs 1 though. That cost isn't nothing in a 0-cost Boltyn deck like I like to run, where I want to be able to play out everything I need without having to meet as many conditions. Because the issue with Boltyn is if you disrupt him at all, if he is reliant on needing a charge card, and then having done a charger in order to play that card gets really bad. So for example, the reason I am so low on Duty Bound Blitz, even though I'm giving it a chance, is play this only if yellow card is bitten to your soul this turn. While that is possible to satisfy off of the new spoiler, it's really hard to satisfy normally because you need to have a card that charges, and a yellow card to charge, and this card. Which means you either needed to have this card in Arsenal, or you needed to only have blocked with 1 card or lost 1 card on your opponent's turn. Which, if they're running any amount of disruption, could be hard to do, and you could be left with the dead in your hand. On the plus side, it does charge as a yellow. On another negative side, though, it only blocks 2, so it's not great to throw out there. Once again, though, we're going to play with it. We're going to see how it feels. Yellow Sync Blow is kind of on here as a meme. This is a card that is probably wrong to include. However, I have a friend, Steven, who, when Enigma was very, very popular, and when Kasai especially was initially popular, was very copium of like, oh, Sync Blow is amazing at yellow because you can play it in Kasai and then banish it off her hero ability and then make it gold. And I'm kind of operating under that same copium logic where it's like, oh yeah, I can block with this, or I can charge this, or it's a yellow, so it activates the new common, and da-da-da-da. When in actuality, it's probably the wrong choice, especially because why would I play Yellow Sync Blow over, like, Saving Grace? It is a card, though. If you were playing a very fatiguey deck and you wanted to throw, like, this and Shunt in a deck, you could. I don't think it's correct, but you could. Already talked about Take Flight. It's kind of really one of those things that we needed when we needed chargers really, really bad. I don't see a world where I need a yellow Take Flight, but it is a card that exists, and if I really needed a yellow charger with Go Again, I can put it in there. And then V for Valor is one that used to be a lot more popular and a lot more necessary before we get the armor deck equipment. It was another way to charge, giving target attack +2. I could see a world where you're playing like a yellow line build where you want to put this out early and then use it as like an onboard threat at all times. I can always charge my soul, I can always buff something, really just mess with your opponent. I could also see it in a heavy fatigue deck where you're just wanting to block out, stack a bunch of stuff like this, and then like pop an energy pot, pop 3 V for Valor. Like there's some weird stuff you can do with it. It's a good card. In a very heavy Rhinar meta or something that's going to intimidate out of your hand or otherwise banish cards from your hand, having that to have on board is going to be very, very nice. So yeah, that is going over Boltyn's card pool. Next thing we're going to look at is the Boltyn deck that I would run right now if I had to go to an armory with Boltyn. I am running Bracers of Bellona's Grace in its stead because it is a block 2 that charges, and it synergizes very, very well with the new M that Ellie just spoiled for us. Same reason I'm running Helm, especially because Helm's charge replaces itself because you draw a card out of it, which in that case just kind of makes it better than Warband in some situations. I'm running Soulbound Resolve as another way to charge on my opponent's turn, just to synergize with that new card. And then I'm running Warpath of Winged Grace because it's similar to Snapdragon Sailors, or it's, it lets you set up a go wide turn when you don't necessarily have the charger or the courage to do it. It's just a way to smooth out the deck. And then we're running Raiden because I'm not running any blues. I'm not running really cards for extra resources that I can feed into Sabers. I am running Beaming Bravado, Bolt of Courage, Engulfing Light, Express Lightning, Light the Way, Beaming Bravado yellow, Engulfing Light yellow, 1 Express Lightning yellow, and technically Saving Grace as my chargers. This makes sure that I'm going to have Soul and make sure that I can start my turns and have my abilities turned on. You'll also notice I only have 21 reds in the entire deck, and I have 0 blues because I have a lot of cards that care about yellow going to Soul. This cares about a yellow card being charged. Duty-Bound Blitz cares about yellow cards being put into Soul. The Soulbound Belief cares about charging yellows to your Soul, or putting yellows to your Soul. Beaming Bravado cares about yellows going to your Soul. So I'm really only running cards that are either payoffs or are chargers in red. Everything else is just not worth it, other than maybe Snatch. And I say maybe Snatch because it's one of those cards that, on one hand, it's Snatch and it's insane and it's goated. On the other hand, we have Bolt of Courage. So that's why I have those choices made. Duty-Bound Blitz, Soulbound Belief, I am going to be testing out. I am running both of them at red and yellow. I'm ignoring the blues entirely. I think out of the two of them, Soulbound Belief probably comes out first. I'm then running the 2 bannerets that I think are the best. I'm running Battlefield Beacon as that chain ender to set up my next turn. I'm running Beacon of Victory because you always put tutors in your deck. I'm running Blessing of Bellona because this card is insane and goated. I'm running 1 Celestial Cataclysm main board, and I'm running 1 sideboard. This is just a nice little gotcha card to have in the deck. This is kind of my pummel, or my, just silver bullet. They're not expecting it and come out of nowhere. Because being able to just send 7 once per game for literally nothing in this case is insane. I think the more you put in there, though, the greedier it is, and the more likely that you're either going to end up charging them, or it's going to just not be playable. Like, having a Celestial Cataclysm in hand and only 2 cards in Soul, worst feeling ever. Lumina Ascension we're playing because it synergizes very, very good with Raiden. Saving Grace we're playing because it is a yellow card. And then Spirit of Vernia we're playing for that Lumina Ascension being played at instant speed. I'm then also running Courageous Steel Hand for buffs when I need them. I'm running Soul Shield and Sink Blow that I can put into the deck when I think I'm going to have a lot of dominate or overpower, or things that I'm going to only be able to defend with 1 card, or just need to kind of play around their attack reactions. Amulet of Echoes I'm playing for exactly Osilio. Kabuto I'm playing for any amount of Warrior Mirror. Soulforge Gauntlet I'm running for Runeblades. And then Snatch is in there as a good card to substitute. The other card that I'm heavily looking at, and I think probably is the first thing to replace one of the new commons if they come out, is a card that is coming out in the new Hala Armory deck. It's Edict of Seal. This card is sharpen target sword you control. If it has 1 or more counters, create a Flurry token. Flurry says that you can attack with the weapon for a 2nd time in a turn. If you have a Raiden and it is online, and you play out Edict, you get to Raiden for 4, give it go again, Raiden for 4. I'm definitely bringing this in. The question isn't whether Edict of Steel goes in this list. The question is what doesn't go in the list. So I'm going to play with this, and whatever card performs the worst, especially if it's Soulbound Belief or Duty-Bound Blitz red, comes out immediately, Edict of Steel goes in. Maybe there is a world where both of these commons suck at red. We leave the yellows in. This becomes Enlightened Strike, and this becomes Edict of Steel. Iron Song Versus is another card that's like a maybe come in. And honestly, I think Amulet of Echoes and Iron Song Versus trade out. Auxilio disappears, Ranger takes over, Iron Song Versus goes in. Ranger kind of gets stifled a little bit, and Wizard comes back. Amulet of Echoes goes right back in. There is a hero that draws a ton and is going to play a lot of cards with the same name that we care about. Amulet of Echoes comes back in. Maybe there's even a world where we're running neither of these and instead we're putting in some other silver bullet, but that's going to be for future metas, for future heroes, for future decks that I'm not going to try to sit here and guess will come and happen. As the time beings, this is what I would run. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something about Boltyn. I'd also love to hear your opinions in the comments, especially if they're contrary to mine. As much as I love hearing, oh, that's amazing, that's great, you're super smart and hot and cool, and thank you, because I know, it's also nice to hear, hey, this is a card that I think you overlooked, or this is why I think that maybe you shouldn't be playing this card, or maybe this thing you said about this card I think is wrong because of X reason and you should reconsider it. I am always willing to be challenged, especially on decklist choices, and my goal here is not to pretend to be the end-all be-all of Boltyn decks.